This is the right video for you if you've seen that NotebookLM notebooks have been added into Gemini, but you're not quite sure what to use them for and all the things that you can do with them. So in this video, I want to break through that confusion. I'll show you the simplest way to get started with notebooks in Gemini and 5 use cases to take you from using notebooks as a beginner to building incredible workflows with them. This new feature is currently rolling out for paid subscribers in the United States on the web app. Once it's available, you'll see it over here on the left. There's a new section here called Notebooks. The first use case that you should use this for is to use it as a way to organize your chats into a workspace. For instance, right here, I have a notebook called Google Cloud Next. This is a conference that I'm going to next week. I found myself using Gemini quite a lot to ask questions about the event and the logistics around it, like the travel. So I created a notebook to organize all of those chats because as you'll see right here, you can start a chat in here and then that chat will live in this notebook. So here you can see all my past chats that I started within this notebook. Now let's start one of these together so you can see how to set this up. Over here on the left, you'll already see your NotebookLM notebooks if you've used NotebookLM already, but let's create a new notebook. I'll click here where it says new notebook. In this case, I want some help with choosing the next pair of headphones I want to buy. So I'll call this notebook Headphone Buying Guide. Great. So now we have a new notebook. You can start chatting in here right away and asking it questions. But what I'm first going to do is add in some old chats that I had that fit in this notebook. So over here, you can see a chat from earlier today where I asked it to help me find the best noise canceling over-the-ear headphones. Right now, this is not inside a notebook, and I know that because you can see it down here in the chat section. If this wasn't a notebook, you wouldn't be able to see it in the chat section. You'd have to go to the notebook that it's inside of. But what you can do is click on these 3 dots, click on Add to Notebook, and choose whatever notebook you want to add it to. Here, I'll select the one called Headphone Buying Guide. Now you'll see over here on the left under chats, it's no longer here. But if we come to that notebook, you will now see the chats inside of here. Once you've created a few notebooks and start chatting inside them, you can unlock the first incredible use case that I want to show you today, which is notebook-wide memory. If you click on the 3 dots at the top of any of your notebooks, there will be a section here called Settings. Clicking on this, you'll see that notebook memory is toggled on by default. And using this allows you to continue a conversation across multiple chats. So for instance, right here, if we return back to my Google Cloud Next notebook, I'm just going to ask it to create an itinerary for me. Sending this along, it's going to pull in all the information from the other chats. It's going to instantly know the context of what I'm talking about, even though I haven't told it to create an itinerary for my Google Cloud Next trip. It's just going to know, because it's inside this notebook, that that is what I'm talking about. Looking at the results, you can see that it correctly identified that I'm going to Google Cloud Next. It knows that I'm going there to create content for my YouTube channel, and it even knows my dietary preferences as well, because all of that was included in the past chats inside this notebook. So with that simple prompt, it was able to pull all that information together using the notebook-wide memory. Let's look at another example. Here's another notebook that I put together to help me with bouldering, rock climbing. And I've been asking it a lot of questions about recovery because different parts of my body, like my forearms and my fingers, have been really sore after all these workouts. So this time, I'm just going to ask it to summarize my issues. Again, no other context here. I'm not saying to summarize the issues I have around rock climbing or bouldering, or the issues that I'm having with my forearms or my fingers, just very generic, summarize my issues. But because it has that notebook-wide memory, it knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's reflected in the response. It says, hey, it sounds like you're dealing with the classic aftermath of getting hooked on bouldering. You're dealing with aches in your fingers, hands, and your forearm. So with the right notebook system set up, you never have to start from scratch ever again. It should be a workspace that grows with you over time and learns more about you. The next use case I want to show you is to use NotebookLM as a knowledge base for your chats in Gemini. Inside of any of your notebooks in Gemini, you'll notice a button on the top right that says NotebookLM. That will take you to the same notebook directly inside of NotebookLM. These two are synced together. So all the sources over here on the left are the same sources that are being used in Gemini in this notebook. And you can even see a preview of that right here. It says it's using 3 sources, and you can click on that and see what those sources are. Currently, my Google Cloud Next notebook has no sources in it. It has no context. So let's add some. You can attach local files as sources, anything from Google Drive, links to websites and YouTube videos, or even copy text. In this case, I'm going to upload information about my flights and hotels and all my travel information so that this notebook has that full context. With those files now uploaded, when I come back to Gemini and ask it to write up my itinerary this time, it's not only going to use the information from the prior chats, but it's also going to use the files that I've added. That way it has a more complete picture of what my trip looks like. And although I can't show you the full details of my flight information and confirmation number, it is here now inside this chat in this itinerary put together for me. But let's look at another example. Coming back to my bouldering notebook, you'll notice that I do have some sources in here. 3 YouTube videos about bouldering that I enjoyed, so I added them to this notebook. So when I chat with this notebook, it not only uses the prior chats, but all these sources that I've uploaded. So this is a great way to build up a knowledge base. You can come in here and add resources that you trust, different websites, YouTube videos, maybe you have PDFs or downloads, add them in here and they can be used anytime you chat with this notebook. So in this notebook, it's not only pulling in the information from the prior chats, but these sources as well. The third use case I want to show you is how to use this integration to get more personalized artifacts in NotebookLM. And this is such a game changer. Back inside of Gemini, come into any of your notebooks and again, click on the top right where it says NotebookLM to go over to that notebook on NotebookLM. Now, before this integration existed, if you created anything inside of Studio over here on the right, like an infographic, it would only pull from information that you had saved inside of the sources section, like all the YouTube videos and articles. But now, as you can see, all of your chats from Gemini that you have inside this notebook are included in here as well. I have 7 of them that you can see right here. So now when you create something in Studio, it's also going to pull from the chats. And that unlocks some really cool use cases. So let's do an example. I will open up infographic by clicking right here. Now we have the prompt box. And again, we're inside my bouldering notebook where I was asking Gemini, my notebook in Gemini, questions about recovery for like my forearms and my fingers and hands. So I'm going to tell NotebookLM to create a recovery guide based on my issues. That's all I'm going to say. Now, clicking generate, you can now see it's getting to work. And I did this earlier, the same exact prompt, and this is what it created for me. Notice that it didn't create something very generic. It really honed in on the issue I was having. Because it has access to my chats, it knows that I was struggling with forearm soreness. So it really honed in on that and identified how to help me recover from forearm soreness and how to prevent it in the future. So this is the most personalized that NotebookLM has ever been. Let's look at another example. We'll come to my Google Cloud Next notebook. Again, we can kind of go with the same theme of having it help me with my travel itinerary. So I actually asked it to create a slide deck for me with my entire trip as an overview. And here you can see that. The Ultimate Creators Playbook for Google Cloud 2026. And it's pulled in information from all the chats. So one of the chats I was asking like what time I should leave at the end of the event to get to the airport on time. So it actually has a graph showing me the optimal time to leave the conference center to be able to get to the airport before my flight leaves. I was also comparing flights with Gemini inside this notebook. I was looking at Frontier, I was looking at Southwest. So here's a comparison of all those different tiers. So all of that is now brought in fully personalized for me because we now have chats in here. Now I have a pro tip for you. Of course, over here on the left, we have all of our sources, but at any time you can uncheck any of these sources. So if you just wanted NotebookLM to use the sources that you uploaded and not to reference the chats, you could turn off chats, or you could choose specifically which chats you wanted to use and not use when you were generating anything inside of Studio. So it is fully customizable. Fourth, did you know that you can use notebooks to create custom AI chats in Gemini? I'll return back to Gemini. I'll click on the left here where it says Notebooks to see all of my notebooks. I'm going to open up the one called Ninja Warrior. And this time click on the three dots, which we went to before, and again, notebook settings. And in addition to notebook memory, you will also see instructions. And these will tell Gemini how to respond and what tone to use when you are chatting with it inside this notebook. For this one, I have a very detailed prompt telling it to act as a coach to help me with Ninja Warrior and to provide suggestions on what workouts to do. But you don't have to start this complicated. You can actually start with a much simpler setup. Here, for example, is a notebook I created called Tech Support. I figured anytime I have one of those tech support questions, like how do I find a certain setting on my iPhone, I'll use this notebook for that. Because inside the instructions, I told it exactly what devices I have. I have an iPhone 17 Pro and an M1 MacBook Pro, and I use different software on my computer like Keyboard Maestro and Barumi. Now, that's not a lot of information, but as time goes on, I will add in more here. When I get new devices, I will update this. When I start using new programs, I'll add those in here as well. That way, I don't have to tell it every time, oh, how do I find this certain setting on my iPhone 17 Pro? I can just mention my phone and it will know exactly what I'm talking about. So setting up these custom instructions can really turn this into a custom AI chat for whatever purpose you need it for. For the fifth example, let's combine everything that we've learned so far, and I'll show you how you can use notebooks to track data. So back in my notebook for working out, you can see I have 9 sources in here now, and I gave it custom instructions about how I'm using this to keep track of my workouts. I wanted to act as a workout coach for someone who's my age, 37-year-old man, pretty active, cross-training for Ninja Warrior, and I'm asking it and telling it to provide advice and workout suggestions. Now you can see right here, I've already used this a few times to log some of my workouts, my bench press. So let's give it another log and you'll see how cool this is. So I'll tell it I bench press 120 pounds today, 3 sets of 8 reps. Sending that along, notice that it's also pulling the information from the other chats and creates this table for me. So I can see that on April 9th, I bench press 100 pounds. On April 10th, I did 110, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that was brought in from the prior chats. But let's take this up a level. Scrolling up to the top, actually, let's go to the left here and come back to the notebook, working out. And then we'll click on NotebookLM to actually go to that notebook in NotebookLM. And let's come over to data table. I will open this up and tell it create a data table that tracks my bench press. Clicking on generate, this usually just takes a second, and it's going to pull in the information from the chats. Here it is. And you can see the exact same information here again. All of my workouts detailed in this spreadsheet. And if I wanted to, I could send this over to Google Sheets if I want, or download it. Let's do another example. This time though, I will come over to sources and I will only select the chats from Gemini. So it's not drawing information from all these other sources. Then I will select infographic and tell it, create an infographic to help me visualize my bench press progress over time. As for visual style, I will select scientific, although it really doesn't matter, it's just personal preference, and then click on generate. And here we go. It has my first day here, April 9th, 100 pounds, April 10th, 110, all the way up to April 13th, 120 pound peak. You can even see it threw in my rest day here and threw in some information about training for Ninja and how this supplements it. So all this information now visually represented. So there you go, 5 incredible use cases for notebooks in Gemini. But now I want to hear from you. I promise you that you have probably thought of some use cases for notebooks in Gemini that I haven't thought of yet. So let me know about them in the comment section down below. Then check out this video right here, because if you want to get the most out of this new integration, you need to know how to use NotebookLM the right way. And that's what this entire video is about. So definitely check out this video and I'll see you over there in just 1 second. Bye for now.